Hello, thank you for having me here today. I'm Marc, CEO of LeadPoint Inc. and PRIMECHAIN, a product inside of LeadPoint Inc. So the journey for us started back in 2004 when we went up to Silicon Valley and raised a bunch of capital from the venture capitalists up there into a company called LeadPoint Inc. What LeadPoint did since then is we launched our product. It's a lead exchange. On one end of our model, we have consumers on the internet who are interested in a product or service. On the other end, we have companies looking to provide that product or service to consumers. What we did in the middle is we built an exchange where we connected those consumers to those service providers, and we collected a commission per transaction flowing through that exchange. It worked out well for us. We've grown a business over the past 10 years to generate $55 million of revenue. It's also profitable. We're approaching $10 million a year in profits. So the business is performing very well for us. It's a B2B model that we launched. So a couple of years ago, we decided we wanted to have a consumer face to our product. And so we launched Money Tips. Money Tips enables consumers to manage their personal financial life online, their credit, their debt, their identity. That entire portfolio can be managed by consumers online. The reason we did that is because we wanted to have a sustaining relationship with the consumer. In our B2B model, I get one touch of the consumer, and then they're gone because they don't know about me. So we launched Money Tips to have a membership model, so I can get up to 5 touches per consumer. We also acquired a credit cards business in 2017. That business enabled us to expand our footprint beyond. We're in mortgage, we're in auto loans, we're in personal loans. This pushed us into credit cards. So today I have a business where I'm doing 7 million annual consumer inquiries to the lending community, resulting in 600,000 lending products being issued to consumers. I've got offices in California, Michigan, Cape Town, South Africa, 175 employees, profitable business, doing 55 million of revenue last year is what we clocked. But we noticed a couple of things in our model. We always like to reflect on our business and reflect on the customers using our products. And I noticed that there were some challenges that the consumers are having as they flow through our system. The first challenge they're having is that getting loans is a little bit cumbersome. It's difficult. Second, it's very local. You can't access wide markets and arrays of capital. You're pinned down in very local markets. That's inefficient for consumers. I also went and looked at the macro market and said, what's happening out there at a macro level? And a handful of issues have plagued some pretty big companies in the US. Credit cards are getting stolen from Target, exposing consumers. Yahoo got hacked, billions of profiles taken. In the US, a big hack happened to Equifax. 155 million consumer profiles were taken. Their financial lives were taken out there. That left a bunch of people pretty frustrated. It cost $16 billion. $16 billion is the cost of that problem. I was one of those people. Very frustrating, very difficult to fix. Additionally, the web's gone from 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0. Here comes blockchain, it's 4.0. Fintech has been largely left behind in that evolution. It has not grown as quickly as other sectors have. It's ripe for innovation. So we decided to take our existing business and attack those opportunities. Bring it to the blockchain and let's go and innovate. We call that PRIMECHAIN. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. It's a product inside of an existing business. So let me walk you through what PRIMECHAIN actually is. So the first thing we do with PRIMECHAIN is we're empowering consumers to control their financial profile. Anytime you want to do anything out there in the world to get a loan from a company, rent an apartment in the US, companies want to know if you can afford it and if you're going to pay back. They look at your financial profile. Other companies are controlling that. You are not as a consumer. So we want to take that and put it in your hands as a consumer. The second thing we want to do is make it be anonymous. We don't want everyone to know who you are because actually they don't really care who you are. All they care is that if they sign a contract with you, you're going to service it and you're going to pay them back. So let's decouple your personal identity from the financial and lending process. There's 4 pieces that go into lending. There's credit, there's assets, there's cash flow, and there's integrity. I'm going to walk you through each of those components. On a credit basis, there's 4 bureaus in the US. We're currently in the US. There's 4 bureaus that are in the US that provide credit data. We're integrated with all these companies. I actually house all of the consumer financial data on my servers and run algorithms against it today to make lending decisions on behalf of banks. So we've got this under our roof. Second is cash flow is the second cornerstone of lending. Any lender wants to analyze your cash flow. Do you have enough on a monthly basis that you're going to be able to pay them back from the income you're generating from your employment and the income you generate from your investments, less the debt that you're servicing to your credit cards and other loans you may have. The third thing they're going to look at are your assets. As a last line of defense, what assets do you have that can service the loan? From cash to investments to homes to cars to tokens. They're assessing your assets. Finally, lenders are beginning to look at your integrity. What is your integrity as a consumer? Are you going to pay a loan back because it's the right thing to do? Are you going to fight tooth and nail to do that? That's a signal that's being measured out there. So we're going to take those 4 cornerstones, put them in a profile, enable you to own and control that profile. The next thing we're going to do with that profile is we're going to associate a score against it. Lenders make loans based on risk. So let's provide a risk score. So we'll run a series of machine learning-based algorithms that come up with a risk profile. Grade A, B, C, and D. Base paper out there is what people are lending against. Worth $10,000 of credit eligible, 20, 30, 100. We'll provide that assessment. Then the final thing we'll do once we have that credit profile and we have a risk score against it is we'll handle the loan servicing and digital contracting on the blockchain. So through a smart contracting process, we will enable consumers to engage lenders to get quotes for product, enable consumers to apply for product, enable consumers to contract through smart contracts to get loans, enable funds to transfer from lenders to consumers. The lenders can be the traditional and institutional lenders today, the big banks. The lenders can be individuals, each and every one of us in this room. Instead of investing in CDOs that fly back around to mortgage-backed securities in the US, why not invest directly into a handful of households? There's 5 companies taking margin on your dollars when you flow it that way. Investing it direct, you're going to have a much higher return. So we're trying to create efficiency in lending, handle the digital contracting, and connect consumers to investors on a global basis, all inside of a platform. There's a number of revenue opportunities that this will create. It's going to be an open architected platform. We're a big believer in sharing. So let's let everyone develop against us. Develop your own algorithms, develop better ones than I have. Let's have at it. Everyone can participate in the PRIMECHAIN ecosystem. We'll take a commission per transaction for having the loans flow across the platform. That's a business model that works because I'm already doing it today. I'm doing 20,000 lending inquiries per day right now, flowing across my platform, taking a commission per transaction-based model. There's 3 main pieces we need to build here to be successful. First, I got to put it on the blockchain. Second, I got to separate your personal identity from your financial lending profile. Third, I have to develop that risk-adjusted score. We've got the tech capability and chops to do that. We've built more complicated things in the past that I'll talk about in a minute here. The market we're going after is not a small one. In the US alone, it's a $30 trillion market is what lending is. On a global basis, you're looking at a $52 trillion market. These are growing at 5%. These are not small markets that we're chasing. Banking and lending is a big business out there. We're all aware of that. So now let's talk about how we're going to do it and why we're going to be successful. It's not a startup. It's inside of an existing business. It's the most important thing. I've got revenue. I've got a sales force. I've got 3 offices. I have 175 employees. It's one thing to hire them. It's another thing to get them to all work together peacefully, harmoniously, and to deliver quarter-over-quarter results. I've been doing it for 10 years. I've got tech capabilities. I've got 5th-generation algorithms. Most importantly, I have a database of 20 million consumers who've gotten loans through my platform. I'm doing $7 million a year, 600,000 new loans per year. I operate a call center touching thousands of consumers on a daily basis, helping them with the lending process. These are all assets inside of the existing business that are leveraged to launch PRIMECHAIN. I've got customers, all the big banks. I'm in R&D with all these big banks. They've been my customers for 10 years. They want to know how they're going to evolve on the blockchain. I'm in the discussions with them to do that. I've also got syndication. That's where all the consumers come from. Big brands are pumping data into me, is the way the business works today. We haven't done this before. My partner and I, we started a handful of businesses. We started a company called LowerMyBills.com. That was in the first .com bubble. We ended up selling that to Experian. We invented something called affiliate marketing through a technology platform that was processing 20,000 transactions per second at the time of sale to ValueClick. We also started Savings.com, which we sold to Cox. So we've started a handful of businesses and we've grown them up. So what do we need to do? We need to methodically bring PRIMECHAIN to market and get it in the hands of consumers. And the way you do that is by introducing PRIMECHAIN to consumers inside of our existing business. We baby step our way into it. We validate it. I've already been doing this. I've already validated that I can get banks to give quotes to consumers on an anonymous basis. So we're already doing that in production today. Why would they be interested in PRIMECHAIN? One, because they're getting a much richer data set of a consumer. That's valuable and important to them. Second is that the default rates come down, the better the quality of the product is that you're lending against, and also the cost for them to service loans is going down. There's a lot of paperwork and data storage involved on the lender side and risk in actually processing and servicing loans that we remove through this product. So now let's talk about revenue and what this is going to mean to us. So I've got an existing business. I mentioned LeadPoint is the first product that we launched. That's the B2B product. I'm doing one transaction per consumer inside of LeadPoint. They don't know about me. It's a B2B model. That's why I launched Money Tips. I mentioned I grew that up to 5 transactions per consumer. PRIMECHAIN, if I'm your vault for your financial life that you can choose to share when you want, with who you want, at your discretion, if I'm successful at that, I'm going to get 20 transactions. You're going to buy a couple homes, a handful of cars, a bucket of credit cards through your life. Concurrently, in my original model, LeadPoint, I have a data set of about 18 data points that the lenders are purchasing from me. They know your name. They know you're saying, hey, I'm interested in buying a home. I think it's going to cost $500,000. That's what they know. It's all self-selected data. I'm going to extract 50 basis points of loan value for that data set I'm trading. When I rolled out my Money Tips model, and I've got your credit file of the consumer, so I have a richer data set that's partially verified, I doubled my revenue. I'm able to extract 100 basis points of loan value. It's the same cost of customer acquisition, but I'm doubling my revenue. By rolling out PRIMECHAIN, we'll have 750 fully verified data points. We believe we'll be able to extract 200 basis points. That's 4 times the revenue that I'm doing today. When you multiply that out against my current revenue stream from last year, 55 million times 20 times 4 is 40 billion of revenue. 4 billion. It's a big number. It's a big number to execute this vision inside of the existing business. That's just in the US, which is where we're predominantly today. This is a global opportunity. The vision is to help the emerging global middle class, 2 billion people who need credit, who need a car, who need a house, who want to pay for college, and they don't have the means to do it. They don't have the avenues to get it. We want to be the gateway to provide that to consumers. That itself is a $10 billion opportunity to go and tackle that. So, with PRIMECHAIN, the very unique thing about it is it's being launched inside of LeadPoint. It's an existing business. We're taking our cherished asset that we've worked so hard to create. We're going to launch this product inside of it. We're going to backstop our vision of PRIMECHAIN by giving equity and LeadPoint inside of the tokens. The tokens will also be used as a lending currency that flows across the exchange and into digital contracting. So there's a ton of security in the tokens that we're offering because of the value of the business that we have on the table today and the upside in PRIMECHAIN. So we're at market right now in our pre-sale. We're pushing 70% of the tokens out there. We're pushing equity and LeadPoint through it. We're starting our tour, and I'm available here the rest of the show to answer any questions that anyone may have about PRIMECHAIN. Thank you all for your time today.